We're in the midst of an infrastructure crisis. We have severely aging infrastructure, and it's estimated that we will need to invest $3.3 trillion to upgrade that infrastructure by 2025. However, we only have $1.9 trillion of that, and so there's a big gap that needs to be filled.
There is a lot of investment that needs to be made in the country's infrastructure, and we have new technologies and business models that weren't available 10, 20, 50, 100 years ago when a lot of the country's infrastructure was put in place. So we have the ability now to put in place infrastructure assets that are more environmentally friendly, that are more resilient, that are more cost-effective than the way things were done in the past.
Our infrastructure needs have changed. We now need infrastructure that helps us deal with storm surges, increased pollution, and even keeping the lights on. We need additional money not only to address that gap, but in order to put in place infrastructure of the future, sustainable infrastructure.
The EDF report on sustainable infrastructure is important for two reasons. It talks about both the how and the what of what we're building. The how do we integrate public and private sources of capital in a smart way to get to where we want to go more quickly, is hugely important for the scale of the problem. The second part is addressing what are we building. How do we choose infrastructure that has more green and less gray in it? If we can solve, say, a coastal protection problem with a dune or a forest cheaper and more sustainably than we can with gray or concrete infrastructure, that's a smart investment, and that'll be a way we can get to our goals faster and also leave our kids with a more sustainable outcome.
Sustainable infrastructure is infrastructure that has certain social, economic, and environmental impacts, whether it be transportation-related assets, energy generation assets, assets that provide cleaner water. All of those would be considered sustainable infrastructure.
The market for sustainable infrastructure in the United States is going to be huge, and that's going to present some terrific opportunities to private investors. We've seen development of clean technologies that is improving the pure financial return for sustainable investment. And we've also seen the development of mezzanine layers of capital, whether it's green banks or socially responsible investors who will take risk out of the investment and make it easier for pure financially motivated investors to participate in large size.
Public policy is extremely important in order to create business activity and business models around the deployment of infrastructure, and specifically sustainable infrastructure. So it's really critical for organizations like the New York Green Bank to be available to help bridge to those private market solutions by being there to dig in deep in the early days to provide financing for economically viable transaction types and do it in a way to help create precedent, create scale, create standardization such that the private market will follow.
We hope the public, philanthropic, and private sector view this report as an invitation to engage with us and each other to address the barriers and unlock the private capital needed to put in place sustainable infrastructure.